The playground smelled of rust and wet metal, a scent that might have repelled anyone else but not her. She curled herself into the curve of the slide, hugging her knees, listening to the faint hum of the city overhead. The neon lights flickered from the buildings above, casting strange colors that danced on her skin, colors that she could never quite name, even though she had seen more sunsets on more planets than most humans could count. Her long ears twitched at every sound, the creak of a swing, the distant roar of a hovercar, the faint whisper of an air vent somewhere behind the swings. She pulled her arms tighter around herself and muttered, "I'd laugh if I could, but my life is exactly a stand-up routine yet." She smirked at the absurdity of talking to herself and immediately regretted it, because who talks to themselves on a cold night under flickering neon? Oh, right, homeless alien girls, apparently. She shivered and adjusted the thin blanket wrapped around her shoulders, which smelled faintly of ozone and old laundry. She tried to imagine herself somewhere else, somewhere warm, somewhere people didn't stare at her ears like she was a walking science experiment gone wrong. "Maybe I could start a fashion trend," she whispered, tugging on one of them. "Long ears, the must-have accessory of 3025. She snorted, even though the sound came out more like a cough, and the echo bounced around the empty playground. She had been here for hours, sleeping between swings and slides, trying not to think about the last planet she'd left, the ship that refused to let her stay, the human families who didn't understand what it meant to need help when you weren't human. She huffed. Yeah, they probably just want someone to take selfies with them and call it charity. Footsteps came, heavy and deliberate, crunching gravel in a rhythm she recognized immediately. Not predators, she decided. Too slow. Too cautious. Her ears flicked back as she squinted into the shadows. A man stepped into the pool of light near the swing set. Boots, thick coat, slight limp. Human, obviously human. Soldier, probably retired, probably still haunted, probably smelling faintly of coffee and something metallic. He froze when he saw her. The way his eyes widened made her wish she had a recording device. "Ah, perfect," she muttered under her breath. "First human to notice me tonight. Excellent. Please don't shoot me, please don't shoot me." The man cleared his throat. You're not a local, are you?" His voice cracked a little, which made her want to laugh and cry at the same time. "Local. I'm from Beetlejuice 9, but I got lost on the way to the interstellar spa. You missed the invitation, obviously." She smiled, showing a row of sharp but not threatening teeth, and it seemed to soften him slightly. "Beetle, what?" he said, scratching the back of his neck, though his eyes were trained on her ears now. "Oh, just a tiny little corner of the galaxy," she said, tugging her ears like strings on a puppet. "You wouldn't know it. Very exclusive. VIP only. But don't worry, the shuttle crashed anyway, so I'm free range now." He crouched down slowly, keeping his hands visible. "Hey, I'm not going to hurt you," he said, which made her roll her eyes. "Congratulations. That's the second thing a human has said to me tonight that doesn't end in 'get off my property.' You're officially in the top percentile of human niceness." She paused. "Top 0.1%. Statistically speaking, you might actually be worth talking to." He laughed, though it was hesitant at first, and she realized that sound, warm, real human laughter, had become unfamiliar to her ears. "I'm Daniel," he said. "Daniel is good," she said, leaning back slightly against the cold metal. I go by Zira, pronounced Zira. And yes, I get that it sounds like a sci-fi discount shampoo." He smiled despite himself, reaching into his pocket to offer her a small, rectangular packet. "Here, food," he said. She eyed it like it might explode. "Food, from a human that's, surprisingly, not radioactive. Go on, tell me you didn't just pull that out of some alien testing lab." She took it cautiously and unwrapped it, taking a tiny bite. Her eyes widened. "Well, not bad at all. Tastes like cardboard with ambition. I like it." She chewed thoughtfully, savoring something she hadn't tasted in days. Calories that didn't come from trash bins or hurriedly scavenged nutrient bars with questionable expiration dates. Daniel crouched a little closer, watching her with guarded curiosity. "You're alone?" he asked. She nodded. "Yeah, galaxies of people, and here I am. Top of the food chain, more like bottom of the playground slide." She laughed softly, letting the sound rise in the cold night. "You humans are strange. You fight wars over sand and metal, but can't leave a corner of a playground warm for a lost alien kid." His mouth twitched, trying not to smile. "Yeah, well, humanity isn't perfect." She raised an eyebrow. "Oh, you're telling me. I've seen more intelligent life in vending machines than most humans, honestly. But I suppose some of you are okay." He nodded, still silent, still watching her, and something about the way he stayed, without reaching for a weapon, without asking for a bribe, without treating her like a freak, made her chest tighten in a way that felt unfamiliar. Minutes passed. She told him bits and pieces of her story, not the worst parts, not the planets that had rejected her, not the families who screamed at her ears, but just enough that he could see the shadows behind her bright, defiant eyes. He listened, softening edges she thought had long hardened. He shared his own stories, battles fought, people lost, and they laughed at the absurdity of human invention and alien customs alike. "Seriously," he said, "with all the money spent on hover tanks and laser rifles, someone could have invented a self-heating blanket by now." Zira snorted. "Or at least a playground slide that doesn't make your butt freeze solid in sub-zero temperatures." Priorities, Daniel, priorities. By the time the street lamps flickered toward dawn, Zira realized she had laughed more in a few hours than she had in the past month across 3-star systems. Daniel's presence was grounding, funny in a weary, human way, and she felt something she hadn't felt in ages. Maybe, just maybe, she could belong somewhere, even if that somewhere was a strange, freezing playground on a planet full of humans. Her ears twitched, catching the soft stirrings of the city waking, and she leaned back against the slide, letting a small, tentative smile break across her face. "You know," she murmured, "this is actually okay, almost nice, not perfect. But I'll take almost nice." Daniel chuckled. "Almost nice is a good start," he said, and for the first time in what felt like light years, Zira didn't feel invisible. Her laugh rose again, soft, fragile, real, and the night carried it. Long ears, sharp teeth, and all, into the slowly brightening cityscape. A quiet rebellion against loneliness. A promise that maybe the universe wasn't as cold as she thought. Zira stretched, her long ears twitching as the first faint glimmers of sunlight seeped between the skyscrapers. She had spent the night curled on the slide like a creature half forgotten by the universe, and yet, somehow, she had survived. Daniel had stayed nearby, leaning against the swing set with a thermos in hand, pretending to read a battered data pad but watching her the entire time. "You sleep like a starship in dry dock," he said, squinting at her. Stable, silent, and somehow a little sad. Zira rolled her eyes. "Well, your poetic metaphors are as comforting as a shock collar, but I appreciate the effort." She yawned, revealing teeth that could almost pass for human if you squinted, and tugged her ears down like adjustable antennae. Daniel sighed. "I'm just trying to understand you. One alien child among billions of humans. Statistically, you shouldn't even exist, yet here you are, sleeping on cold metal and somehow surviving. Teach me your secrets." Zira stretched, long limbs curling with surprising grace, and muttered, "Secret number 1, always laugh at bad puns. Secret number 2, never trust human food labels. Secret number 3, don't make friends with soldiers unless you enjoy awkward questions." He chuckled. "Point 3 already broken," he said, pointing at himself with a half-smile. Zira raised an eyebrow. "And I didn't even ask, you just volunteered. Brave or stupid, possibly both." She tucked her knees under her chin again, her ears twitching toward every sound. Daniel noticed her vigilance and shook his head, smiling. "You really do hear everything, don't you? I could probably start broadcasting top-secret military signals, and you know when someone wanted extra fries." Her laugh was quiet but genuine. "Probably, but I only act on signals if there's food involved." Priorities, Daniel, I have them. Daniel shook his head, standing and brushing gravel off his coat. Fine, let's start small. Breakfast. There's a food vendor a few streets over. Human food, you'll love it, I promise. Mostly. Zira blinked at him. Mostly? That sounds ominous. Are we talking glow-in-the-dark soup again? He grinned. No glow, only minor side effects. You might feel temporarily human. Dangerous, I know. She laughed and swung her legs off the slide. Her movements were graceful, almost too fluid for a human playground, and Daniel couldn't help but notice. You know, he said, you're like a living anti-gravity device. How do you move like that? Zira smirked. Careful, soldier, flattery might get you eaten, or worse, hugged, and I don't hug lightly. As they walked toward the streets, Zira's ears twitched at every hum of the city. Hovercars zoomed overhead, their anti-gravity engines buzzing with a sound that resonated in the hollow bones of her ears. Daniel watched her take it all in, as if the mundane bustle of humans was a new world. She muttered, you know, humans are loud. You think you're quiet, but it's like 100 ferrets running through a metal corridor every second. Loud, that's a diplomatic term, Daniel said. I call it organized chaos. Zira snorted. Sure, let's call it that. Next you'll tell me that hot dog stands are sacred relics of your civilization. Daniel grinned, raising a hand in mock salute. Exactly, and never touch the sacred mustard. It's been known to trigger interstellar incidents. They reached the vendor, and Zira's eyes went wide at the array of sizzling food, the smells assaulting her senses in the most delicious way. She hesitated, scanning the crowd like a predator studying prey. All right, she whispered, do I look like a human yet, because I need a disguise? Daniel squinted. You're trying to blend in with ears like that. She waved a hand. A girl can try, maybe I can start a trend, ears out fashion. Everyone will copy me, guaranteed. She selected a small, sizzling wrap, sniffing it like a forensic scientist. She took a tentative bite and paused, her eyes widening in shock. This is edible, she said, nodding with approval. I expected cardboard ambition again, but this is culinary chaos in a good way. Daniel laughed. See, humanity isn't all bad. Occasionally, we even make food that doesn't attempt to kill you. As they walked away, Zira began to relax, allowing a rare trust to seep into her posture. So, she said, soldier man, tell me about your world, not the war stuff. I want the weird stuff, the human inventions that make no sense. I like weird. Daniel thought for a moment. Well, humans invented self-folding umbrellas that sometimes forget how to fold, and there's a device called a smart fridge that judges your snacks. Zira's ears twitched. Judges, like moral judgment, are your food choices a crime? Daniel grinned. Exactly. If you eat the last chocolate bar, it logs it, shames you, and sometimes orders more to replace it. It's like a tiny passive-aggressive roommate. Zira laughed so hard she almost tripped. Humans are ridiculous. I love it. I could write an entire galactic encyclopedia on human absurdities and still have pages left over for sarcastic commentary. They wandered through narrow alleys and neon-lit plazas, Zira pointing out oddities with her unique perspective. Look at that, she said, nodding at a holographic advertisement for hover shoes. Why would anyone need shoes that float 3 inches above the ground? You'll trip less, but gravity has other plans. Humans, I swear. Daniel shook his head, chuckling. Your commentary is going to get us arrested if someone hears it. Or worse, admired. Hours passed, and the city continued its unending hum. Zira's ears twitched constantly, picking up frequencies beyond human perception, occasionally leaping to catch faint signals of interstellar communication she didn't quite understand. You hear that? She whispered. Daniel leaned close. What? She smiled faintly. Nothing, just my other life calling, and it's polite enough not to interrupt breakfast. By the time night threatened to return, Zira and Daniel had discovered small pieces of trust and humor threading between them. She realized that for the first time in light years, she could laugh without fear of judgment, and he realized that for the first time in months, He could smile without thinking of the battlefield. They had found a small, improbable pocket of safety amid chaos, where ears could twitch, jokes could fly, and alien and human alike could simply exist, absurdities and all. Zira perched on the edge of the hovercar platform, her legs dangling just above the smooth surface. She swung them idly, the motion sending a faint hum through the metal beneath her. Daniel watched from a few feet away, arms crossed, pretending to be casual but failing spectacularly. You really do make this look effortless. As the day wore on, they stumbled upon a small group of street performers, their holographic instruments blaring music that made Zira's ears vibrate. She twirled, trying to mimic the alien dances she remembered from home planets, her feet moving in ways Daniel hadn't thought possible for a humanoid. "You move like a neon shadow," he said, laughing so hard he nearly fell over. She bowed dramatically. "And you speak like a grounded human who hasn't seen enough planets." Compliment accepted barely. Later, they sat on the edge of a fountain, the water glowing faintly from embedded bioluminescent tech. Zira's fingers traced the water, and she hummed a tune from a distant star system. Daniel watched, feeling the strangeness of her presence settle into familiarity. "You're not just an alien," he said quietly. "You're alive, fully alive in a way humans forget how to be." Zira smirked. "Thanks, soldier." That's either a compliment or a warning. Her ears twitched as a soft signal whispered through the plaza, something faint, pulsing, alien. She froze. "Oh, that's home, kind of, but not really, more like a reminder." Daniel leaned closer. "Reminder of what?" She hesitated, eyes flicking toward the signal's origin. "Of what I lost, and what I'm trying to find, and why it's terrifying to trust even someone like you." She smirked again, but it didn't reach her eyes. "Mostly because I'm bad at trusting. And humans, well, they ruin trust by accident." Daniel placed a steady hand near hers. "Then let's take it slow. You don't have to trust the galaxy, just trust me for now. Maybe we'll figure the rest out later." Zira tilted her head, ears flicking back thoughtfully. Temporary trust. Risky but tolerable. I like tolerable. Tolerable is a good start." She laughed softly, the sound echoing in the plaza, blending with neon, with machines, with the city that neither belonged to her nor completely rejected her. For a moment she was just Zira, alien ears, sharp teeth and all, laughing, alive, and not entirely alone. Zira crouched on the edge of the neon-lit canal, her long ears twitching at every ripple in the glowing water. Daniel leaned against a railing, pretending to survey the cityscape, but really he was studying her, her ears, her gestures, the way she flicked a finger to tap a hidden sensor on her wrist. "You really can't resist fiddling with everything, can you?" he asked. Zira snorted. "Resisting is for humans who want to avoid electrical shocks or accidentally launching satellites. Me, curiosity is mandatory." She tapped a panel on her wrist. A tiny hologram flickered to life, a map of star systems she had visited or escaped. "I keep track, not obsessively, just strategically. You know, survival stuff." Daniel leaned closer, peering at the flickering lights. "Those are real?" he asked. "You've been to all these places?" She grinned. "Yes and no, depends on what counts as being there. I've spent time dodging hostile customs officers, malfunctioning AI, and occasionally very judgmental starship crews. Count it if you want." She glanced at him sideways. "I bet you thought Earth was dangerous. Cute." He laughed. "Earth's no walk in the park either. You've got rogue drones, traffic jams, and some humans who insist on yelling at vending machines." Zira's laugh was As the day wore on, they stumbled upon a small group of street performers, their holographic instruments blaring music that made Zira's ears vibrate. She twirled, trying to mimic the alien dances she remembered from home planets, her feet moving in ways Daniel hadn't thought possible for a humanoid. "You move like a neon shadow," he said, laughing so hard he nearly fell over. She bowed dramatically. "And you speak like a grounded human who hasn't seen enough planets." Compliment accepted barely. Later, they sat on the edge of a fountain, the water glowing faintly from embedded bioluminescent tech. Zira's fingers traced the water, and she hummed a tune from a distant star system. Daniel watched, feeling the strangeness of her presence settle into familiarity. "You're not just an alien," he said quietly. "You're alive, fully alive in a way humans forget how to be." Zira smirked. "Thanks, soldier." That's either a compliment or a warning. Her ears twitched as a soft signal whispered through the plaza, something faint, pulsing, alien. She froze. "Oh, that's home, kind of, but not really, more like a reminder." Daniel leaned closer. "Reminder of what?" She hesitated, eyes flicking toward the signal's origin. "Of what I lost, and what I'm trying to find, and why it's terrifying to trust even someone like you." She smirked again, but it didn't reach her eyes. "Mostly because I'm bad at trusting. And humans, well, they ruin trust by accident." Daniel placed a steady hand near hers. "Then let's take it slow. You don't have to trust the galaxy, just trust me for now. Maybe we'll figure the rest out later." Zira tilted her head, ears flicking back thoughtfully. Temporary trust. Risky but tolerable. I like tolerable. Tolerable is a good start." She laughed softly, the sound echoing in the plaza, blending with neon, with machines, with the city that neither belonged to her nor completely rejected her. For a moment she was just Zira, alien ears, sharp teeth and all, laughing, alive, and not entirely alone. Zira crouched on the edge of the neon-lit canal, her long ears twitching at every ripple in the glowing water. Daniel leaned against a railing, pretending to survey the cityscape, but really he was studying her, her ears, her gestures, the way she flicked a finger to tap a hidden sensor on her wrist. "You really can't resist fiddling with everything, can you?" he asked. Zira snorted. "Resisting is for humans who want to avoid electrical shocks or accidentally launching satellites. Me, curiosity is mandatory." She tapped a panel on her wrist. A tiny hologram flickered to life, a map of star systems she had visited or escaped. "I keep track, not obsessively, just strategically. You know, survival stuff." Daniel leaned closer, peering at the flickering lights. "Those are real?" he asked. "You've been to all these places?" She grinned. "Yes and no, depends on what counts as being there. I've spent time dodging hostile customs officers, malfunctioning AI, and occasionally very judgmental starship crews. Count it if you want." She glanced at him sideways. "I bet you thought Earth was dangerous. Cute." He laughed. "Earth's no walk in the park either. You've got rogue drones, traffic jams, and some humans who insist on yelling at vending machines." Zira's laugh was sharp, quick. "I swear, if I had 10 credits for every time a human yelled at a vending machine, I'd be able to buy a functioning shuttle. Or at least a better blanket." The canal's bioluminescent water rippled with unexpected color, reflecting Zira's twinkling eyes. She leaned back, flicking her ears, and muttered, "I don't know why I like this place. City smells, constant noise, flashing lights, it should annoy me, but it does. Humans are odd and yet tolerable." Daniel smiled. "Tolerable, that's high praise coming from a galactic traveler. I'll take it." She twisted, peering at him. "You're not going to ask about the ships, are you?" Daniel raised an eyebrow. "The ships?" She gestured vaguely toward the sky. "Spaceships. The ones I barely escaped. The ones that didn't make it. Some humans think interstellar travel is neat until they meet customs officers who consider you illegal cargo." She shook her head. "Never trust a starship crew who smiles too much." Daniel laughed despite the seriousness. "Noted. Smile cautiously, got it. But why are you here, really?" She hesitated, flicking her ears backward. "Because I had nowhere else to go. Because the galaxy is big and yet somehow I ended up on a playground slide. Because humans are absurd and it's strangely comforting. And maybe, just maybe, because I wanted to see if someone like you exists. Someone who might actually care." Daniel shifted, feeling the weight of her words. "Someone who cares, huh? That's a rare commodity." Zira snorted. "You humans think you invented scarcity. Try being a long-eared alien who depends on humans to not notice you, or worse, sell you to a biolab for fun. Scarcity of kindness is universal. She flicked a finger toward a nearby drone which zipped past, spraying holographic advertisements. Look at that. Humans make drones for convenience. I make drones to track signals from ships that barely left me behind. One day I might build one that yells at vending machines. Full circle. Daniel grinned. I'll invest in that company. Sounds profitable. Zira crouched, tapping a button on her wrist. A soft hum resonated and a small hollow projection of her ship flickered, fragmented and broken. This was my last ride. Not all of it survived, but enough to remember. Enough to remind me why I'm here. She looked at Daniel, eyes gleaming with unspoken pain. You've seen war, right? You know how people can just vanish. Ships, planets, memories, poof, gone, but somehow the memory stays. Worse than the emptiness itself. Daniel frowned, silent for a moment, then said, "Yeah, I know that feeling. You lose more than people, you lose certainty, trust, it gnaws at you." Zira nodded, flicking her ears nervously. "Exactly. And yet here we are, you and me. I survive, you survive, mostly intact, mostly sane. That counts for something." She leapt down from the canal edge and spun, hair whipping in the light. "But enough doom talk. Let's make this a tolerable day. I need food, real, warm, non-cardboard food. Maybe something with cheese, maybe something explosive. Not literally, I hope." Daniel laughed. "Explosive, we'll leave that to aliens only. Humans prefer their meals, not to create black holes." They walked toward a street market. Neon signs flickering above stalls that sold hover-baked pastries and energy drinks. Zira's ears twitched at every vibration, every sound wave. "Humans really do love their lights," she muttered. "It's like staring at a sun that forgot how to be subtle." Daniel grinned. "And somehow you blend right in. Well, apart from the ears." She twitched them proudly. "Ears are accessories, Daniel, status symbols, functionally fabulous." A small group of humans passed, laughing at holographic screens, oblivious to her alien presence. Zira muttered under her breath, "I swear, humans are too busy laughing at nonsense to notice anything truly important. Advantage me." Daniel laughed, shaking his head. "You really are tactical about blending in. I didn't realize aliens were this calculating." She smirked. "We're survivors. Calculation is survival 101, and humor is survival 102. They stopped at a food stall, the smell of sizzling protein wafting over them. Zira's eyes gleamed. "Ah, nourishment. Humans do one thing well after all." She took a bite and paused.